Stephen Conroy, you've got the tax cuts coming in from July 1. You've got the uncertainty hanging over the government of the RBA, not knowing will they, won't they, what direction will they go on rates. What's your assessment of this budget tonight, Stephen, in terms of, as I said to Andrew, the politics and the economics?
Well, this is a proud Labor budget. It's unashamedly about the values of a Labor government. And if you look at the messaging that the government have begun over the last few months in leading through to the end of the year, whether there's an election in the November, December, or it's held off to April to avoid the West Australian election, you've got, firstly, the Made in Australia theme. You've got the tax cuts coming into play. You've got more relief. You've got debt being paid down. You've got inflation coming down. I mean, there's 5 really strong messages for Labor to be talking about and emphasising for the next 6 months.
And so Paul, a good Labor budget means that apparently taxpayers' money is needed to supplement the power bills of Malcolm Turnbull, Clive Palmer and every other billionaire in the country. That's a proud Labor budget, is it, Stephen?
Well, you've been wanting to subsidise the oil companies for a while now, Paul, with your campaign.
No, I'm saying reduce the excise. The only reason we're in surplus is because of excise.
So, Paul, when you make a decision to support ordinary Australians, I'm shocked to say only you could turn it into a debate about Malcolm Turnbull. I'm happy to have a debate about Malcolm
he's getting
Turnbull.
the power
this
bill
is about
cut.
Helping ordinary Australians.
Everyone in a mansion gets the same thing as a one-bedroom unit.
Well, let's see Peter Dutton oppose it.
Well, I'm not Peter Dutton nor the Liberal Party nor voting. I'm just saying, what I find quite bizarre is that if you have a block of money, why not means test it, which would mean the amount of money that goes to everyone else goes up?
Look, I'm sure that the challenge of trying to means test a one-off payment like that would be, in terms of the cost of doing it, probably not an optimal way to go down this path. It's one-off. It's a modest amount. I'm sure, I thought you saw the Treasurer before say would like to have done more, but the economic constraints were that they had to be responsible about it. So I think it strikes the right balance between a responsible support for ordinary Australians and ensuring that we're setting the ground for lower inflation.
Andrew Bolt, what's the coalition response, do you think, to this? As Stephen said, the question is, will Peter Dutton oppose it? Hard to see that. Where would he go on Thursday night in reply to this budget?
Oh, look, you're on a hiding to nothing posing handouts, unfortunately. He would have to stress the debt. I mean, Stephen's absolutely correct. This is a traditional Labor budget, as in it's spending, spending, spending. I mean, how can you have record levels, of income coming in and then promise 4 years of deficits to come? I mean, this is just sensational. And it's quite true. I mean, you mentioned as a political document, I do think the election has to be held soon because that relief from the higher power prices, there's no mention in the budget of, we're going to bring down your power prices by $275 per household. I mean, that's gone. Instead, there's this $300 handout to compensate only in part for the rises you got instead. That is relief. Do not forget that it'll last precisely 1 year. And then, of course, back to where we are with these high. So really, that election has to come in that 1 year. The money has run out. The NDIS, which they said, we're going to fix, $5 billion extra in a year. I mean, it's just incredible. Handout spending, there's no discipline. Whatever Stephen says, you cannot get these huge income rises for the government and praise yourself for being restrained when you then end up in debt. And by the way, this is when things are about as good as they're going to get for the government. Growth is actually slower than they wanted. I just think, how can you end up with all this windfall from these high exporting earnings we're getting from the minerals before China could in fact slow even further, right? How could you do that and produce this? I don't get it.